Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your narrator, Not-So-British-Brit, and in today's narrations, we'll be doing Second Contact, I Am Become Death, the Destroyer of Worlds, and Lovecraft Be Damned. All of these stories are by u/The Human Empire. Please enjoy. I've heard stories as a child, stories of horrors of old, and the horrors of this one is not of mindless beasts or incomprehensible cosmic abominations. No, instead of those, the monsters of this story was a species long thought gone. They called themselves humans, born from a planet they named Terra. In their time, though for reasons unknown, they hated every sapient being that is not them, and of course waged war of intergalactic proportions, and ravaged planet after planet, system after system, species after species. For millennia, they reigned supreme, whilst destroying everything on their path of genocidal conquest. Their weapons and military prowess rivaled by none. Yet through a miracle, the remaining civilizations, some less intact than others, managed to bring an end to humanity's monstrous deeds, along with its last breath, or so they thought. Unbeknownst to them, the last remaining humans survived on a planet experimented on to replicate their planet's evolutionary development. Though they survived, they were fractured and unable to put themselves back to their treacherous glory days, and as generations passed, their memories fiddled away and became as forgotten as the ones whom they have slaughtered. But regardless, hundreds of thousands of years later, humanity have returned, but not as enforcers of chaos, but of peace. They now stand not as genocidal monsters, but a peaceful civilization, with all the same wonder in their eyes as they beings upon which they ravaged and took away their childish wonder. And for that reason, I, High Marshal Quash Van Gelt, now welcomes humanity back to the intergalactic Commonwealth. End of story. Second story. I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. Most species would mean that as a phrase of triumph, but the humans? Oh, to them, that phrase is the exact opposite. To them, that phrase means defeat. Strange, isn't it? They had harnessed and used the power of both nuclear fission and even fusion. The use of both are considered a war crime in the galaxy, mind you. And yet the phrase was said by J. Robert Oppenheimer, not as a proclamation of their victory in their Second World War, but as a realization of the fact that he had created a weapon that has the ability to annihilate his entire species. Of course, it had never come to that, but it is still mind-boggling why that was what he thought. But every other inventor of such device, from every known species in the galaxy, had seemingly never even come across the idea that maybe they had gone too far. Is this a testament of humanity's crippling lack of hubris? Or perhaps even humanity's humility, that everybody else seemingly lacks? To be honest with you, I don't know the answer, and I certainly am not here to ask you that, but I am indeed here to ask you a very important question. Are you really sure that you would start a war against a species that had done no wrong to you, and had never even once used the very weapons you so despise, against any of their enemies for centuries now? Senator Van Croy, circa 2789, 1 week before the nuclear bombardment of Brevius, the capital of the coalition of civilizations. End of story. Third story. The universe is a cold and uncaring place, filled with death and despair everywhere you look. And it is governed not by morals, nor even mortals. It is said that every civilization is like a tiny fire in an endless sea of darkness, waiting to be snuffed out by the great old ones as it guides them ever closer to its helpless self. Now you might think to yourself that if that is indeed the case, seeing as so many had already fallen, then maybe it's best to just let them extinguish the flames and let it all end. Or better yet, we extinguish the flames ourselves before they even notice that we exist. Well, if that is what you see as the only correct course of action, then maybe you should indeed grab yourself the Necron and shove it up your arse, because there is just no hope for you. Why, you may rightfully ask? Well, you see. So what if we're just another pathetic little ember in the void? So what if our civilization's doomed to crumble like all the others before us? So what if the universe doesn't care about our meager little lives? So what if all of reality itself could just, and whenever Azathoth rolls around in his bed a little too much? Tell me, did our ancestors care about any of those insignificant ideas about insignificance? Because if you say that, then you've obviously slept through history class. So you might be wondering why the ones before us did not care whether or not they matter in the grand scheme of things. Yes? Well, the answer is why should they? If the universe truly did not give even the slightest fuck about them, then they might as well not return the disfavor. Now should they? You see, us humans do not simply compensate for what the world has in store for us, for instead we make the world compensate for what we have in store for it. We make our own meaning. So I say fuck it, and lovecraft be damned. Let our flames burn brighter than the brightest of stars, till the gods of old themselves bow down to the former pest that they stepped on as our wildfire of fury and glory engulfs all of space, all of time, and beyond. End of story.